Mita, and I'm the most well-known volunteer at the Alm Association. Welcome to our podcast series called Youth Vision: The New Wave, where the association's volunteers discuss three major topics in today's society: digitalization, sustainable tourism, and opportunities for young people. All of this from the perspective of the generation that is leading the change today.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Your Vision, The Next Wave, a series of podcasts presented by Asociația AUM and Sevos Asociația. My name is Octave, I'm French from Normandy and I'm 23. I'm volunteering in Sighișoara since October 2023 and I'm here with two other friends from Sighișoara as well.
Hey there, my name is Ferran. I'm from the eastern region of Spain. I'm 28 years old and I worked as a digital transformation agent for 4 years.
Hello, my name is Miguel. I am 18 years old. I am the youngest in this place. I am a programmer. I was studying microinformatics systems and network. I am also a gamer, so the digitalization topic for me is part important of my life. And today we are going to talk, obviously, about digitalization and AI, life balance, risks in general with the digitalization. We are going to talk about so many topics related to the digitalization. So we need to talk about what is digitalization. Any type of idea what is digitalization? Octave, Ferran?
Not that much. I'm waiting for your definition, Miguel.
Yeah, can you give us an actual definition?
Please.
So, digitalization is the process when we take analog products or analog process and we convert digital. But digital is the same, so we need to define also digital. So, digital is represent all in numbers, normally called bits, and this information in a non-physical medium, which is also dematerialization.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the definition. I think I will start since I am the oldest one here, and I think the internet was born after me.
Yes,
so
there is a funny part about this because you are 28, Octave are 23, and me are 18. There
Which
is
means
5 years. There is 10 years gap.
we're fitting in the 10 years gap, exactly. It can be really interesting.
Yeah, I feel like we can give a whole picture here. That will be nice for our listeners to have. And so digitalization, for me, I think it has had a big impact in our lives, in a sense that we are able to do much more now with less time, and we can do more meaningful things. For example, in the school, right? I remember when we were in school, we were asked to do a research project, a classic history, and talk about past history, and we will have to go to the library, get the books, and it would take us days to do this project. Then
Library? What is this? Like, I go to the library to see manga, not to research things.
I know, exactly. That's the point. And then the Google came in, and that same project that would take days to do, it would take hours to do. And now with the AI that I haven't even used it yet for school purposes, it's down from hours to only minutes. You can literally ask, like, can you do this project for me? And the AI will do all the research for you. And there's nothing wrong about it. The only thing is that now we can do many more things than before, and all that time that we have left should be invested in more meaningful tasks. For example, in school, we now can dedicate that time to learn about more meaningful skills like creativity, leadership, etc., other skills that are not only paperwork, right? And so that is what I've seen in school. So in short, for me, the biggest impact that technology has is that more things in less time, so you have that time to invest in more meaningful things, put it this way.
So thanks for sharing, Ferran. For my part, I got introduced to technology and digitalization in 2014, which is literally 10 years ago. And I spent all of my studying years from now on with digitalization. So I got introduced to it as kind of a freak, if I can say so. All of my classmates had their first smartphone when they were 11, and my first one was when I was 13. So a 2 years gap in a class in middle school can seem not that much, but actually considering how enormous every time it was like going really, really fast, the process, etc. of technology, social medias, smartphones, how it improved every time, it's a lot. So when I discovered and I finally had my smartphone in my hands, this was mine. I had the whole world in my mind, in my hand as well. And I started becoming kind of an addict, and I stopped reading books, but I discovered other point of views than the one my parents always delivered to me. I was more aware of what was going on in the world. I had another point of view still. And I discovered that everyone has a different experience, that it's not just the little house and the little town I was living in, that was not the whole world, that was everyone had a different perspective. So different people's experiences, different politicization way of thinking. And when I moved from high school for my superior studies, so at 18, I received a laptop and it changed my way of studying and taking notes, even though I was not prepared for it and didn't get ready really properly to this part of stuff. But maybe it was much more a me problem than a technological problem. Like, at some point, it can seem like it's getting me much more difficult, etc., but I was just basically taking notes and registering it and recording it on my laptop and never opening it again, but it was basically the same on paper. Now, Miguel, you're working and studying on it. You're the youngest in here and probably still the most competent to talk about this topic. What's your personal experience with digitalization?
For me, digitalization is a basic process in my life. Like, I study with it, I work with it, I make all with it. Like, I play also with digital things, so I remember perfectly one of my first contacts with internet was in 2016, 2 years after Octave. So I started with YouTube videos of very famous YouTubers of the moment, like PewDiePie. For example, with all my people of my class having Musical.ly, called now TikTok. In the past, who do you call in Musical.ly? You have Musical.ly or something like this?
I didn't even know that existed.
And you have any type of these things?
I use TikTok to record my dog, honestly.
Okay, so apart of all these things, we have it in my personal things. For example, we need to make now so many things and we need to go so fast. For example, when I'm doing the script of this podcast, I was with a tab for the script, a tab with ChatGPT talking about chess, a tab for talking with Argentinian people to solve problems, and a tab to make other things and playing video games. Or for example, now in the podcast, I am with the phone working in other things because we need to go so fast, and this gives so much anxiety. Also, the fact of now I can talk, I am in Romania and I can talk from someone from Japan in French, in other language, in a video game. For example, we can talk with so many people, but also all of these people can talk not with me, about me. So, for example, if someone from Groenlandia tag me and say me, you are horrible in a photo, it's gonna to be painful for me because I don't know the person. But I know this comment was directly for me, at least in my opinion.
Thanks for sharing. Finally, I would say that in this part, we all have different point of views, but it's not only a generational question, it's also a cultural question, a personal question, maybe just literally the way we were born, where we lived, how did we get used to technology, etc. So, of course, for everyone who was in contact with this type of technology, it's a different perspective. It brought us literally the world in this little piece of metal that fits in our pocket. That made us discover that we have opinions, that we can share them, and that other people have other opinions and that they can share them as well.
Twitter.
Yeah, not only Twitter, but yes, mostly. X now.
Exactly. Sorry, Elon Musk.
So, I'm going to talk now about dematerialization because I think we can't fully understand what is digitalization without defining dematerialization. Dematerialization refers to the process of converting physical documents, processes, or assets into digital formats. This transformation allows for easier storage, faster way of thinking, faster way of putting documents, management of information through electronic means, reduces the importance of physical medias or archives in our lives, and is supposed to encourage efficiency. It brought, of course, infos on us, for us as well, but big issue, how fast it grew. It made that some people are still not used to it, and it's something that not everyone can afford. Like, you need money to buy a laptop, you need money to buy a smartphone, you need a good server of internet to get used and to be not in inequalities with other persons.
Not only
Yes.
money, you need also time for understand all of these things.
Exactly.
You need to, for example, for me was adapt for all of these things you now started and can be more easy. But for me was like, okay, now you are 14 and you need to know how to create an account, how to program, how to play, how to this. You need to go so fast for things which not gonna to be the most important thing in your life.
Exactly. And talking about it, right now in France, since now 2 years, to get your administration and official papers, you need everything is dematerialized, which means that you can't just go to an administration office and sign papers, etc. Nope. You have to understand how does it work, how to use a laptop, and making it at some point more difficult for some people not familiar with that. Among all of this, there are also lots of psychological issues presenting themselves for our generation. We could mention the fear of missing out, which is now so much famous that we literally just said the initials now, which you call it FOMO.
Also, talking about FOMO, for example, one of the reasons because I make musical is because all my class makes musically. Also, if you're interested about FOMO, we have other podcasts in Associatia Home, so we are going to remember this, but please keep it in the podcast and then you go to see the others.
Yes, so basically you can see how this is all digital that we are talking here, and we just send you to another link that you can listen another time.
Also, anxiety spreading because of the urge and the pressure on answering fast or missing on important information. Also, something that's really important with digitalization is the inflation of information. Also a big part on this. With the hierarchy of informations appearing from a mobile game is at the same level of notifications in your brain that an incredible event that happened at the other part of the planet. Even sometimes this notification can seem even more important. Then it can also imply the fear of leaving a comfort zone, represented by our phone as well. The issue is it's harder to get away from it, but at some point it can also be easier. That's why it's not only negative things with the digitalization. I mean, thanks to digitalization, I wouldn't have been able to speak that level in English, because still I'm French, and I left France to go to Romania. If that's not leaving any comfort zone, I don't know what is it.
Yeah, so thank you, Octav, for all this useful information, and so Miguel. We talked about our personal views and also this dematerialization and globalization of digitalization, and now for the rest of it, we're gonna talk about future trends and what can we expect to see in the future with technology, also general risk and the downside or the dark side of technology, and we will finish this episode with health tips to balance your life and technology. And for that, Miguel, can you tell us about what the AI is, this thing everyone is talking about these days?
And AI is a discipline actually in informatics, and we use for solve specific problems. For example, I cannot use a AI to solve chess problem to say me a Machado poem, for example. We use it to solve specific problems.
So this AI everyone is talking about is actually called maybe sometimes ChatGPT, Gemini, Google, etc. We know by these names better that's how penetrating in our lives is right now, that we don't even know the technology, we just know the name of the provider, which raises some questions. And yeah, can this thing that you describe as many cables and algorithms, can it have feelings, can get to the emotional sphere?
In theory, no. I'm going to explain why. A feeling is not a thing you can code, you can say nothing, because a feeling is not something logical, like happen this, and then I feel this. Can change this feeling. So it's not something completely logical. And for example, I feel now stressed for this podcast, and you can be very chill for this podcast. It's not a logical thing. So an AI cannot take for the moment the feelings. Maybe in 15 years this change, but for the moment no.
Okay, so this is relieving for our listeners at least for the next 15 years, hopefully.
In 15 years you can go to listen again the podcast and say me I am wrong.
Exactly, we will see. And can this technology, this AI go rogue? Can it turn against us? Can reveal itself?
In theory, no. I'm going to say obviously in theory always, because this in 15 years can be changed, but in theory no, because an AI is going to follow always the program orders. For example, if I say to the AI, you need to cut this podcast now, The AI is going to make it, but the AI doesn't know if it's good or bad. The AI is going to follow the program order. For example, if I say to the AI, kill Octave, the AI is going to make it, but not because they think this is good, because if it's a type of a specific order. Sorry, Octave, you're going to be killed so many times, I think, in this podcast.
So the only possible way to have a Terminator kind of outlook is if someone programs it, not like the AI by itself.
And
trying
focusing
to
on me.
Yes, especially focusing on you, Octave. So can the AI actually take our jobs? Should we be worried about like losing our jobs because of technology?
In theory, and I am not happy to say this, but in theory, yes. The problem is, if the AI take our job, for example, a mechanical job of see dates and say, okay, this is a 950, this can be taken by an AI. But for example, all of these dates trying to interpret, this is not can be taken by an AI because they have a human factor. All the things who has a human factor is gonna to be impossible to take, and all the things can be taken. No, is gonna to appear new jobs. For example, a cashier, okay, can be taken by an AI, but the cashier now needs to see how the AI is making their job. So it's going to appear new jobs. It's going to disappear jobs, but it's going to appear new jobs. So it's in the middle always.
Okay, gotcha. So coming back to the point that I made in the beginning is like the AI gives us so many possibilities. It's taking out some old tasks, but is at the same time is bringing new tasks that need to be filled.
Correct.
And also it can't replicate any emotional or human intensive things that we do nowadays. So we should not worry in that aspect for now. So now we're gonna turn to the dark side of technology, and we're gonna talk about some risks and limitations that it might have. So Octave, can you illustrate us on that a little bit?
I mean, there are so many different topics, but to start with this one, like, would be the first risk that we can encounter in the future will be the cybersecurity threats. Obviously, already in, but people can say, yeah, the security will increase, of course, even now it's getting better, etc. But there will be always flaw in cybersecurity, and hackers can always find it. But obviously, yes, security will increase, I get to this point, but the dependence we'll have on cybersecurity will grow as well. So if it exists a world where people can still hack cybersecurity, then we'll really be in danger, because we'll be still really vulnerable, more than now. And also, since we're going to be more dependent to it, the inequalities gap will keep growing as well. Still, we won't have the same access to technology, and then more marginal will emerge. And still in the topic of dependency, we might lose our competencies in non-digital skills or crafts, leading also to the loss of intellectual property. And how can we not mention the monopolization of large technology companies over us, and at some point even governments? I don't know how can it be more dystopic. I still have other topics to talk about, but I'm not sure it's going to fit in the podcast.
No, yeah, hopefully we are not trying to get more of this topic here. Actually, we're trying to be as neutral as possible, but yeah, everything that comes with a price, it also has the downside and its limitation, and it's worth noting. And that is precisely why it's so important these days to keep a balance between the use of technology you make and your offline life, right? Because it's so easy to get sucked in by technology and just like become yourself digital. And for that, we're gonna give you some tips to keep this balance on track. There are two ways to keep the balance in your life. One way is to be more mindful about your technology use, and the other way is to promote or pay attention to your offline life. For the first part, being more mindful about your technology use means using apps to track the time you dedicate to your phone, to your social network, and setting limits to it.
It's not necessary enough. For example, Samsung and Android in general has so many inside apps for limit, and Instagram now, for example, it's the time to rest. For example, at 11 you cannot receive notifications, and you have every 15 minutes, half hour, an advice. Hello, you are in a void called Reels.
Exactly. So you can see how important it is that even your phone manufacturer, it's making it possible for you to set limit on your phone use. So you can see how addictive these things can be and how important it is for you to be mindful of your technology use. Other things that you can do is to be mindful of what content you look for, because there are contents that can stress you more or bring you anxiety. So be mindful of what content you consume. What else can we do? We can set offline times. For example, before going to bed, when we eat with other people, it's a good time to not use your phone as a rule for yourself. We can also set offline zones in the house. For example, the room, the bathroom, not using your phone in those parts of the house or in your life. That is going to help you manage your technology use. But another thing that you can do also is to pay attention to your offline life. For example, what you can do offline activities, old world activities, put it this way, no? You can read a book, you can go on a hike, you can enjoy nature, things that don't involve technology, and that is gonna nurture you. Also, you can pay attention to your offline relationships and make sure not all your relationships become absorbed by technology, and so you maintain this balance. So it's not about putting technology out of your life, it's just like being mindful of keeping the balance.
So, for all of these topics, I think for my part, I need a resume, please. I am deficit attention, so please, can someone bring a little resume about all of these podcasts?
My fellow companionship, you are at the perfect place. I already have the sum up. So, therefore, digitalization is a tool, a new one and fantastic invention. But keep in mind that it's a tool. The issue can be that because it evolves so fast, only a single born year of difference, and literally just a single country of difference can mean a lot, and an enormous difference on the relation people have with technology, and on how fast should follow the changes digitalization implies. But we should keep in mind that it's not easy for everyone, and that no one has the same access. But it doesn't mean we should banish it and forget about it, like throwing everything. It's literally a tool. Nothing more, nothing less. But a fantastic one, a new one, a futuristic one, but still just a tool. It shouldn't represent and picture our entire life. We shouldn't focus on our entire life on just this little circle of technology.
So, mulțumesc for listeners. Try to listen other podcasts of this YouTube channel, for example, the FOMO podcast, and I think you enjoyed all of these topics, and try to search us in other social media like Instagram, Musical.ly, now called TikTok, wherever you want.
Facebook as well.
Facebook also. So, mulțumesc, and see you in other podcasts. Bye.
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 Thanks.
Thank you.